Hi guys, James here, Gaming Central PH. Today, we're gonna be reviewing and unboxing a product from DOYOKY, which is the DOYOKY Epoch Game Controller. Out of the box, we have here the controller itself. We also have here the extra thumb grips. We have two extra pairs. We have the charger and the manuals. First impression, the Epoch controller is actually a unique controller. It doesn't look like the other brands because other controller looks like just a reshell from a different company. They're also generous to provide three pairs of thumbstick. So right now I'm replacing it with the long one and this tiny joystick. I don't know what I'm supposed to call it, but I don't really see myself using it. The bridge that they have is also a charging bridge, and I can tell you right now that this controller doesn't feel cheap at all. I also like the grips that they have here, and here's their programmable buttons. Here's how the trigger sounds like. They also have an extra buttons at top, so they have four programmable buttons all in all. Time to put it to our Nintendo Switch. I like the RGB that they have for this controller. It's really bright. And you have here four buttons. You can basically change the color, vibration, assign a button, and a turbo. You have here two charging ports. No other buttons at the back other than the mappable button. I must say I'm not a big fan of all the configuration being on the front side of the controller. I prefer them to be at the back part. Here's another thing that I don't like about the Epoch controller. There's a wiggle room over here. Like you can feel and see that the switch is somehow moving. So it's like the Nintendo Joy-Cons. Nintendo actually made an announcement on why they made it that way. It's basically for them to protect the unit just in case that you will accidentally drop it. I might say that the Epoch controller is actually the most comfortable controller that I held in years. It's like a big Joy-Con, but it's comfortable. I also like the weight of it. It's not that light like other third-party controllers, and it's not that heavy as well, like the Nitro Deck. So they did a pretty good job when it comes to weight department. It also has a nice grip, and it's really comfortable to use. Since they focus on ergonomic, Epoch controller cannot stand on its own. Now let's test the buttons. Buttons are really responsive. Let's test the joystick. Well, since they're using Hall Effect joystick, I'm not really that worried when it comes to performance. Now, let's test the D-pad. I'm a big fan of beat 'em up games, and I really appreciate a controller that has an excellent D-pad. And I want to know if the Epoch controller is Hadoukenable controller. Okay, like it. All right. So as you can see, every time that I'm doing the Hadouken move, it does the job. There's a lot of third-party controllers out there that has terrible D-pad, and I can say that this controller is not one of them. I just hope that they have an option to swap the D-pad. I recently made a review about a Fun Labs controller that has an option to do it. So if the Yoki can implement that to this Joy-Con, it's gonna be amazing. It's just sad that you have to train your brain if you're going to be using this controller because the interface is different. If you're used to always pressing the home button to check the battery level of your Switch, you're used to pressing the plus icon. You really need to train your brain because it's different with the Epoch controller. Look at the texture of the grips that they have. This is the reason why it's so comfortable, so nice. And like what I mentioned earlier, the weight is just perfect. It's so balanced. Now, the charging port that they have here are actually not that necessary because you already have one for the bridge. But it's nice that you have an option to charge it if you want to. Just a heads up, you cannot assign a function key to the mappable buttons. The Yoki also takes pride in their RGB. As you can see, it's really nice. The colors are really bright. And when it comes to changing the colors, changing the pattern, it's really easy to do since you have a dedicated button for it. You also have an option to turn it off if you want to, just in case you want to save some batteries. Let me show you how we can change the color. So just press the button and here you go. Of course, you can also change the strength of the rumble and you can also do turbo function. So you can spam a button if you want to. I've been given a lot of Joy-Cons and controllers over the years, and I can say that the Epoch controller is actually the best controller that I have up to date. If you want to get one, you can check the description box of my video. You can also use my code for additional discount. This is James again from Gaming Central PH. Stay safe and happy gaming, everyone. Oh, before I forget, this controller was sent by DOYOKY directly, but they did not pay me to advertise their product.